Next, we will look at partnerships. Partnership is a form of business organization which is owned by two or more people. Here, partners contribute to capital and operation while sharing profits. It's important to be noted that this form of business organization is also unincorporated, which brings similar problems as sole traders, which we will discuss shortly. Another important aspect about partnerships is the partnership agreement. Partnership agreement is a written and legal agreement between the business partners. It consists details about the following: the capital invested by partners, the roles and responsibilities of each partner, details of profit sharing, details about how long the partnership will last, and arrangement of absence, retirement, and inclusion of new partners. Now that we know more about partnerships, let's take a look at some of the advantages of being in a partnership. To understand the concept better, let us explain the advantages from the point of view of a digital marketing agency with two owners. First of all, as there are two owners, there is a greater source of capital that needs to be invested before starting a business. Capital could be required to purchase computers, desks, chairs, and hire employees. Along with that comes the fact that two owners would bring in more expertise into the business. For instance, one of the owners could look over the marketing side while the other owner can lead the web development side. This brings us to the next point, where partners share responsibilities as we just discussed. Partners do not only share responsibilities, but also share costs and risks. There's a number of costs and risks involved while doing business, and partners in a partnership share all of those. Moreover, partners have one another to discuss and solve their problems because they have different sets of expertise. This also leads to new ideas for the business, which can propel them to greater success. And as the partners can call the firm their own, they would always have high motivation to succeed. The last advantage is similar to that of a sole trader. As a partnership business is unincorporated, they also have less legal hassles to take care of. Now let us move to the disadvantages of partnerships. First and foremost would be that the partners have unlimited liabilities. Similar to that of a sole trader, the business is not a separate entity than the owners. This means the creditors are legally allowed to take personal belongings of the owners if the business is unable to pay back the dues. This can potentially bankrupt the digital marketing agency owners. Next, there are a number of risks involved. First is the risk of conflicts. As there are two partners with different expertise and different ways of thinking, it is very normal for partners to have conflicts while making decisions. If the partners do not have a good understanding and a healthy approach to problem solving, this could lead to a big problem for the company. The next risk would be the risk of dishonesty. It is seen in many instances where partners cheat one another. Due to a difference in character, there is always a risk of partners betraying one another, leaving the business in pieces. Another problem is that because there are only two partners, there is still a limited scope of business expansion. Though it is more than sole traders, because more partners are involved, it is still less than the businesses we will discuss later in this chapter. With this, we end our discussion on the advantages and disadvantages of partnerships. Now, let us take a look at some suitable scenarios for partnerships. First, there needs to be a similarity in mindset, which will eliminate a number of risks that the business will face going forward. This is more seen in partners that know each other well, because that increases the chance of the partners having similar mindset. And lastly, partnerships are great for people who want to avoid legal complications. Now that we have discussed about partnerships, it is important to note that there is another type of partnership called limited partnership. As you can imagine, in this form of organization, partners have limited liability, which is a big benefit missing from both partnerships and sole traders. The partners have limited liability, so they are only liable to the amount of money they have invested into the company. In case the company goes bankrupt, they will only lose the money they invested. Their personal assets will not be at risk in this form of business. This is because the business is a separate legal entity. However, we'll be seeing in the next part of the chapter that limited companies sell shares. However, in limited partnership, shares cannot be bought or sold.